Inside a Delaware bankruptcy court, Avon looked less like a beauty icon than a fractured empire trying to bury decades of legal wreckage. The brand once announced itself with a cheerful knock, but the modern paper trail spoke in debt schedules, tout claims, and corporate carve-ups. By 2026, pieces of Avon have been split, sold, reorganized, or pushed away from the American business that made the name famous. The mystery is how a perfume sample from a traveling book salesman became female enterprise, then aged into one of beauty's great cautionary ruins. Avon began in 1886 with David McConnell, a New York book salesman who offered small fragrance samples to make strangers hear his pitch. Women answering those doors often cared more about the perfume than the books, and McConnell saw a business hiding inside that reaction. He founded the California Perfume Company, a name chosen before Avon became the public symbol, and built it around trust instead of storefronts. The company's early power came from a simple American reality, because many women had limited paid work options but deep neighborhood relationships. McConnell recruited women as representatives, and the model gave them income, status, and movement through communities that rarely offered corporate doors. Long before women voted nationally or entered offices in large numbers, Avon turned front rooms and kitchen tables into miniature marketplaces. That made the company more than a cosmetic seller, because it sold possibility wrapped inside powder boxes, perfume bottles, and personal visits. Avon's first great advantage was geographic. Since many customers in smaller towns could not easily reach modern beauty counters or department stores, a representative arriving by foot, carriage, train, or later automobile could carry beauty into places where national retail had not yet arrived. The system worked because the seller was familiar, the product felt intimate, and the transaction happened inside a social bond rather than an aisle. In 1939, the company adopted the Avon name, drawn from Shakespeare's Stratford-upon-Avon, and the brand began moving deeper into American memory. After World War II, new suburbs, baby boom households, and television advertising gave Avon the perfect stage for its most famous era. The phrase Avon Calling became more than a tagline because it captured a business model built on presence, confidence, and domestic access. By the 1970s, Avon had become a corporate giant, celebrated for profitability and recognized by millions who might never study a balance sheet. Yet the same culture that made Avon powerful was already moving beneath it, as more women entered the workforce and spent less time at home. The front door was no longer guaranteed to open in the middle of the day, and the Avon lady was losing her captive world. That shift did not destroy Avon overnight, but it cracked the foundation under the company's proudest myth of convenience, opportunity, and personal connection. Management then chased new directions through expensive diversification, buying businesses that often sat far from the beauty empire Avon actually understood. The company purchased Tiffany in 1979, entered other unrelated fields, and later sold several experiments after they failed to create a durable future. Those deals consumed attention and left debt behind, while the core cosmetics market was becoming faster, sharper, and far more crowded. Drugstores made beauty convenient, department stores made it aspirational, Walmart and Target made it cheap, and Sephora and Ulta made it experiential. Avon had once owned home beauty before modern retail matured, but now every channel was stealing a different piece of its old promise. The catalog started to feel smaller beside bright aisles, celebrity brands, polished counters, loyalty programs, and later the endless shelf of the internet. Technology should have become Avon's second front door, because online shopping preserved home convenience without requiring anyone to wait for a representative. Instead, the company stayed heavily tied to direct selling, while younger customers discovered makeup through searches, reviews, social feeds, and creators. Avon still had a human network, but the beauty industry was learning to reach millions of customers without knocking on a single door. A costly technology project later became another warning. After a software system for orders and commissions reportedly collapsed following representative backlash in Canada, the company was caught between two worlds, too dependent on the old Salesforce and too late to dominate the new digital one. International growth offered scale, but it also made the corporate story harder to follow as Avon's American heart kept shrinking in importance. For more stories like this, Fortunes and Ruins follows the forgotten machinery of American money. Power, brands, and collapse after the applause fades. Avon expanded across Canada, Latin America, Europe, and Asia, turning a porch-based American model into a global direct selling machine. By the 2010s, North America had become weak enough that the business was separated, creating different Avon under different ownership structures. The United States brand eventually sat apart from Avon products, while the international company moved through Natura and later further divestment plans. Natura bought Avon products in a 2020 deal that promised scale, but the larger beauty group soon began simplifying after heavy acquisitions. By 2024, Avon products filed for Chapter 11 protection in Delaware, not because lipstick had vanished, but because legal liabilities had become overwhelming. The filing centered on talc litigation, with hundreds of claims alleging some Avon talc products were linked to cancer through possible asbestos contamination. Avon has denied wrongdoing in those cases, yet the cost of defending and resolving claims had already drained hundreds of millions of dollars. The bankruptcy did not erase the Avon name in America, but it exposed how little the old brand unity still existed behind the scenes. By 2025, Natura agreed to sell Avon International outside Latin America to an affiliate of Regent for a nominal £1 price. That detail felt almost unreal, because a name once attached to household trust was now being reshuffled through distressed corporate paperwork. The decline was never one clean collapse, but a slow compression caused by culture, competition, technology, debt, lawsuits, and strategic drift. Avon's power had depended on being personal before retail became personal, convenient before shopping became instant, and empowering before work itself expanded. When those advantages faded, the company still owned memories, but memories could not protect margins, rebuild relevance, or silence a courtroom docket. That is why the ruins of Avon are not only factories, offices, or bankruptcy filings, but also an entire selling ritual that disappeared. The knock at the door once meant income, friendship, lipstick, perfume, and a small claim on independence for women across America. Later, that same knock sounded like a business model waiting outside a house whose occupants had already moved into a different economy. Avon still matters because its rise was real, and millions of women used the system to earn money and shape their own lives. Its fall matters because it shows how a company can confuse heritage with immunity while the market quietly rewrites the rules. By the time debt, lawsuits, and divestments reached the headlines, the deeper collapse had already happened inside American habits. For more forgotten stories of wealth, power, and collapse, keep watching Fortunes and Ruins as old empires leave new warnings behind. What remains is not just a beauty brand, but a faded catalog, a silent porch, and a court file where the empire ended. The old Avon lady once carried possibility from house to house, and the ruins she left behind still smell faintly of perfume,